Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Curt Schilling Baseball Show, episode 61. And, Bill, playoffs are literally around the corner.
Around the corner, and we'll know everything we need to know by Sunday night.
Right. We know most of what we need to know. But we're going to start off the show with the mention of one of the greatest players to ever live. Is no longer with us. Hall of Fame third baseman, and probably more of a Hall of Fame human being. Brooks Robinson passed away at 86. 23-year career, all spent in Baltimore. 1970 World Series, one of the most defensively dominated series by a single player in history. And just AL MVP in 64, 18 All-Star games, and a work ethic that was, I think it was, when you think about Cal Ripken and Orioles in life and career, Cal was, those two were synonymous with Oriole baseball. And I'm sure a lot of what Cal had instilled in him, he got from watching Brooks as he grew up an Oriole fan. Probably one of the 2 to 3 best fielding third basemen to ever live. Could make every play. But again, I got to know Mr. Robinson off the field, and I've never met anyone in the game, around the game, associated with the game, that ever had a negative word to say about Brooks. He was a man's man. He was a good man. He was very, very involved in post-career lives of athletes, Players Association work. He was always involved in alumni. And baseball's less today for Brooks Robinson not being here anymore. So certainly pass along condolences to the Oriole family, to the Robinson family, and to Major League Baseball. And then on to a guy who may someday be mentioned as one of the greatest to ever live. Certainly, and you've heard me, this is something I repeat, seems like every couple of weeks. Anytime you're talking about somebody doing something for the first time ever in a sport that's over 100 years old, you're talking about something unique and special. Ronald Acuna Jr. Is the introductory member, the founding member of the 40-70 club, 40 homers, 70 stolen bases. And I'm not really sure that anybody could put it better than Marcell Ozuna did, who said, I just say 3 words, MVP, which is 3 letters, but okay, we know exactly what he meant. You're talking about one of the greatest seasons ever. Braves have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Well, they need another win. They'll get that before the season ends. And they'll end up being home field advantage. And we're going to talk about that in our playoff show, because it's not the edge you thought it might be, given their pitching staff. But kudos to Ronald Acuna Jr. for doing something that's never been done before, and something we may never see again.
And some of the naysayers, Curt, are talking 70 is because of the new rules and the big bases, but I ruled that out.
Yeah.
Only 2 other guys had over 50 this year. So if it was so easy, why aren't there 20?
Yeah, I think there are more players stealing more bases, but there aren't. The upper tier of players are still, because for the most part, anybody that steals 50 or more bases in this day and age of sabermetrics does so with a very high success rate, because they take their opportunities with the new rules. I think that has probably resulted in more stolen bases overall, but I don't know that it's really done a lot. I mean, I guess the what I would say is the stolen bases, I think, less rare these days. Probably, I don't know about less valuable, depending on the lineup you hit in. But the 70 number is just an indicator of this guy's really fast, and he has, like I said, the last guy for the Braves to steal 70 bases was Otis Nixon in 1991. He stole 72. And notice Otis Nixon, I don't know, that had 14 home runs in his career total, much less 41 in the season. So pretty amazing. Pretty amazing season by an amazing player. And yes, he is the NL MVP by a pretty wide margin, I would think. And that's not to denigrate the NL race for MVP, because there's a lot of good seasons being had. He's just having one that's unheard of. Flipping over to the American League, and this is the time of year when teams that don't like each other, you tend to not have to look far and wide for incidents and reasons. The Astros and Mariners are not friends, and they have cleared a couple times, 2 or 3 times, in recent memory. And Hector Neris was cussing in Spanish at Julio Rodriguez. It was that bad. But apparently, Bill, you said you thought you saw why this happened?
Earlier in the game, Chas McCormick, running to first base, trying to beat out an infield single, slapped the glove and hit the arm of the first baseman and I think that kind of started it out, because next inning, McCormick came up and got plunked in the back.
Right. Yeah, got hit
yeah,
unmistakably being thrown at. Yeah, the whole slap the ball out of your hand thing, I thought we kind of put that to bed with A-Rod.
Right.
That's a stupid thing to do. It looks childish and it's against the rules.
And there are plenty of cameras to catch anybody doing it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're not going to do anything in private in a hotel lobby, much less on a baseball field on live TV in I don't know. Some guys think they might have that Inviso shield or something, but he didn't, they didn't, and they don't like each other. And Houston might not make the playoffs. And I would imagine if that happens, that will be a very, very big story. Across the way, back to the NL, the Phillies clinched a walk-off clinch, by the way. And they're a team that in the playoff discussion that we're going to have, that you're going to have to watch and pay attention to, because there's something there with Nola and Wheeler leading that rotation. But they walked off and they're going to take the 5 seed. And it's a new season, and when you're running those 2 guys out the top of your rotation, you tend to like your chances. There's somebody I know no one's going to really want to see, and we know Bryce Harper can hit in October too. So,
and in the wild card, they'll get the 2 home games, and with those 2 guys,
right,
I see them in the NLDS.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But they bring something to the table in the way of power pitching. So I wanted to touch base on a story that probably, unfortunately, for a friend of mine who's a manager, is just another chapter in what is going to be a sad story written about a sad season in San Diego. So apparently on Monday, Padre closer Josh Hader, he of the 31 saves, 1.19 ERA, and 81 punchouts in 53 innings, was unavailable to pitch in the loss against the Giants. And San Diego on Monday during this game was still in the playoff race. They were running a little bit of a good streak. They were up 1-0 with 4 outs to go, and apparently Hader was unavailable to come in and get those 4 outs. Robert Suarez came in, gave up 2 runs in the 8th. They lost 2-1. Hader has not pitched more than 3 outs in a regular season game since 2020. After the loss, Hader explained his decision not to make himself available, suggesting his choice came down to the team's current situation, which, if you're a San Diego fan, you look no farther to that you have no one in that clubhouse who's actually a leader. It's the situation that we are at, he said. Are we in the playoff race? And when he asked that question to reporters, they were still in the playoff race. Hader continued, it has nothing to do with the offseason. See, that's the problem I have. It has everything to do with the offseason, and you're looking towards free agency and you don't want to get hurt. Just say it. Be a man and say it. It's the now, it's the health, it's the making it through the entire season. 162 games is not an easy task to do. You guys see guys work overloads, they get injured. He's set to become a free agent, surprisingly. But you know what? Enough. right? I mean, it is about the offseason. Just say it. Hey, listen, I'm becoming a free agent soon. We're out of it. And, we've had a disappointing year, whatever. Just be truthful and honest, because that's not what you were. And this guy's going to be, somebody will pay him a whole lot of money this winter to come and close for them. And you could argue that his, you remember when they got him, Bill, he struggled big time for
He
a
did.
while, and could be part of the contributing set of factors as to why they aren't going to be in the playoffs. But I just thought that was a very inconvenient, very uncomfortable story. And it's also why one of the many reasons why the San Diego Padres are not in the playoffs this year. They do not have a clubhouse presence or anyone in that clubhouse to allow for those situations to resolve themselves, because that never gets to the field. In a team with leadership in the clubhouse, that story never happens. And we've seen a lot of stories out of San Diego this year that wouldn't happen if the San Diego Padres had groups of people or somebody in that clubhouse other than a coach to lead the way. And they clearly don't. And now I know there's discussion around Machado having surgery, and all this other stuff. And I'm going to guess that, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's been a lot of discussion around Machado and this clubhouse stuff. And I'm going to say that that's not probably all eyewash. There's probably some truth to it. How much, I don't know. But there's definitely going to be something there. So it's Friday and the postseason's 2 days away. We kind of have an idea. We're going to do a playoff preview. When are we're airing this Monday next week?
It'll drop Tuesday morning before any of the games are played. Right. So, and we'll go through all 12 of the teams.
Yeah, we're talking about our playoff preview, guys. It'll be next Monday, next Tuesday morning. It'll run before the playoffs, and we're just going to walk through the thing that I think matters most from is my team legit contenders commentary, which is starting pitching, who you're starting, who those starters are, what their past is, what their kind of peripheral numbers say. And you need to go in with two guys that you can count on, a 1 and a 1A. And I think some of the strengths, some of the potentials for the playoffs are not who you think they are. I would say this, Bill, going into the postseason. I think the Atlanta Braves are the only team that could possibly hit their way to a World Series in this mix of teams in contention. Initially, I thought maybe they were the team that didn't have to with the pitching they had, but with the amount of injuries they've got and the fact that they made bringing an Bryce Elder into your playoff mix is probably something that you don't want to do. But we'll find out. So anyway, that's going to do it for today. We are going to put together a playoff preview for you guys to catch up with on Tuesday. So anywhere you find your podcast, Apple, Spotify, OutKick.com. You can find us, spread the word, join the club, subscribe, follow, all the things that go with that. Bill, I will talk to you on Tuesday next week. Have a great weekend, brother.